Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm DuEwa Frazier, the host and producer of Nerdacity Podcast and Nerd in Chief in general of this podcast. And tonight we are featuring Tongo Eisen-Martin for Summer of the Word, a mini poetry series here on IG Live. And before I bring in Tongo, I'm going to just read a poem for you all. Before I bring in Tongo Eisen-Martin, I'm going to read a poem for you all, and let's kick off Summer of the Word tonight. And the poem I'm going to share is called The Link. It's like pain exploding into purple and then nothingness. It's like voices in a riot, never-ending chanting and hands linking, Selma to Ferguson. It's like justice for injustice, something that don't come around too often, like a yellow cat with blue stripes, a grown baby, a pimp for president, an indictment for illegal murder. Then again, it's like an all-night vigil with somebody hanging in the balance. It's like trembling when you feel that something ain't right feeling in the pit of your stomach, that after this moment, things will never be the same, and maybe things will never be different. And so if you're joining me tonight, again, my name is DuEwa Frazier, and I'm the host and producer of Nerdacity Podcast. And I have an IG Live poetry series where I'm featuring poets this summer. And tonight we're going to have Tongo Eisen-Martin. Tongo is San Francisco Poet Laureate. And I believe that we're going to be picking up with Tongo very soon. But I'd love to know who is here on the live tonight. Please introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if you're a poet, a writer, or a podcaster. And I hope that we can co-follow each other here on Instagram. And so I'm going to go ahead and pin Tongo's book title here in the chat, as well as his publisher's website, so you can check out Tongo's book. And so Tongo is featuring tonight Summer of the Word, IG Live poetry series featuring Tongo Eisen-Martin tonight. And his latest book is titled Blood on the Fog. His latest book is titled Blood on the Fog. Oh boy, I meant to pin that. Oh, let's pick up with Tongo now. Greetings, Tongo. I just added you. I was trying to type in your book so I could pin it here. Greetings, Tongo. How are you?
Hey. How you
Hey,
doing?
I'm doing well. And how are you doing, poet?
It's been a little rough, man. A friend of mine just got murdered.
I'm
And
sorry to.
so it's a little rough. We dealing with that right now, but
Yes.
it's good. It's good to be with you.
Well, thank you so much. And, really sorry to hear about that. And I know that you're there doing a lot of social justice work, and you are definitely one of those community activists and leaders there in the Bay Area. And so we really appreciate all the work that you're doing, Tongo.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And so, Tongo, I like to read your biography for the good folks who are here to see you, hear you read tonight. Thank you again for joining me. Tongo Eisen-Martin, originally from San Francisco, is a poet, movement worker, and educator. His book titled Someone's Dead Already was nominated for a California Book Prize. His book, Heaven is All Goodbyes, was published by the City Lights Pocket Poet Series, was shortlisted for the Griffins Poetry Prize, and won a California Book Award and an American Book Award. And his latest book, Blood on the Fog, is being released this fall in the City Lights Pocket Poet series. And Tongo is San Francisco's 8th Poet Laureate. Congratulations again on your honors, Tongo, and thank you for joining me. And I don't want to keep you too long. I know that there's a lot going on, but I appreciate you sharing any words that you want to share with us tonight from your new collection or from previous work.
Yeah, much love in this space. What the space you're providing me with here is super necessary, and is or means more than I can even really express. To have this kind of this kindness in between a lot of madness. So we this is I'm saying some poems. This is for Bub. Rest in peace. I talk facing away from the dead. They replace me with the change in my pocket, a penny that's yet to be invented. They say you have to know how to cut a throat on the way to cutting a throat. After sleeping on a mattress made from 2 garbage bags of clothes, I became content with the small gestures of plantation fires. Playing with couch ashes, I realized how weird the universe was. It exists in so many places, so many random things that interrupt me while I'm trying to dream. Like your clay correspondence, Lord. To be transparent, I have 20 books next to a bullet, like an old man giving advice at the beginning of a revolution. I've really done it, Lord. Explored the mumbles of my mind, explored what's naturally there, and I found no brainwashing. I found Africa, Lord. I have a future. It takes place in the diasporic South. I have morning possessions. Modern militancy, windows to the South. I'll walk on a missile for food. I guess you will not want flowers for a few years, Lord. Will I be tied face to face with the country I murdered? Merge with us, Lord. Our old metal versus new metal. Our old metal versus a pool of meandering imperialist faces of multiculturalism, a source the dead replaced me with a comedian's chest cavity instead of a chest cavity held tight. It takes a violent middleman for me to talk to myself. Stories that travel through other people's stories, a song about a song, a hemisphere about a hemisphere. Stories that travel through a conquered poet. And my mother remembers Africa, Lord. She killed on behalf of you, Lord. I wore a machete all winter and no one asked me what it meant. I read 1,000 books in front of the world. What I do is fight poems and sleep through decadent San Francisco prayer circles, watch people play for post-working class associative surfaces or recreations of a governor's desk, ruling class art of utility, playing find a sociopathic bureaucrat, a day some white people scared even easier, TV in a basket next to a ceramic baby wearing ceramic armor, musket progeny fantasizing through the art of the poor, their trendy latches locked before God, black art hunted down like a dog. Hand over my friends, Lord. Lord, I think I'm going to die in the war. Unelected white people in my small house like a blues song with no spiritual effect, or dollhouse age pomp, or pony show near dead bodies, or apartheid weddings that go right, or apartheid white people who give birth to mathematicians, the spiritual continuity of barracks and police stations, a chemical interpretation of a Sunday trip to church, church smells in their pockets, a river mistaken for a talking river, no autobiography outside of small personal victories of violence and drug use, made in the image of God trinkets of white abolitionists confided in their children about. Chemical assurances that they will switch from black artist to white artist, from black God to white God, from black worker to white worker. I think about you cautiously, Lord. In the same way I think about my childhood, Lord. Foxhole Friday nights, most of life is mute. A comedian points out a planet's field to a priest. King Sugar Cane, King Cotton, King Revolutionary, the Bala Central. Containing all modes of shallow introduction, introducing an unlisted planet class speaking about fevers and balance sheets and reassuring the masses that we can figure out our fathers later. A priest took my mother lightly, Lord. Stood in front of parishioners, re-raveling fantasies about black art. Priest reading confidently before I broke him and broke his parallel after the day I've never been a poet before. Little brother watches his big brother's friends. They lean rifles on shelter walls. They agree with me and call it literature. It's a simple matter, this revolution thing. To really lie to no one, to keep nothing godlike, to write a poem for God. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative all over the United States. There are toddlers in the rock. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history to take the glass freeway. White skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapse into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up, house of God in part, no cops in part. My body brings down the Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets. Pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark. extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration, the waistband before the next protest poster. Hey, by the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your deaths for last. You are witty, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. And it is only raining one thing. Non-white cops and prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill. A neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise. A new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder, the figment of village. A new noose to a new white preacher, all in an abstract painting of a president. They bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tangible screeches of military bolts and election Tuesday cars, a cold-blooded study, and leg irons proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses. That sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque piece plastic and bolt action audiences. The Medgrave of second is definitely my favorite law of science. Fondle news clippings and primitive Methodists, my arm changes imperialisms, simple policing versus structural frenzies, elementary school script versus even wider white spectacles, artists bleeding in the challenge of watching civilians thinking terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads and their ears myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war, what? With their t-shirt poem and t-shirt guilt, and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls for signs of my life. You know, all street life to a certain extent starts fear. Sometimes with a spiritual memory even. Pre-dawn soul clap, your father dying even. Maybe I pushed the city too far. My sensitivities in landfill districting and minstrel whistles. White supremacist graffiti on westbound railcars all over coming reauthored. Reauthored by revolutionary violence that chose its own protagonist, a muted stage of genius. You know, the garbage is growing voices. Condensed Marxism for warrior depressives, underpasses in their pockets because they just might be deities, a decent bid on the Panther name of merciful Marxism. Disquieted home life, a metaphor for relaxing next to a person who is relaxing next to a gun. I stared at my father for a few seconds, then returned to my upbringing. Returned to the souls of Ohio black folk. Revolution down there pagan at this point. You know what the clown wants? The respect of the ant. Wants to interpret pain only. Wants to pull a 38 out of a banging bowl. Wants me to hurt my hand on this pen. I'm not tired of these rooms. Just tired of the world that give them a relativity. My only change of clothes prosecuted the government has finally learned how to write poems. Shootouts that briefly align and make up a parable. Like white bodies are paid well. Do white men even have leaders? Are all white people white men? A rat pitches a river. Can almost taste the racial divide. Can almost roll a family member's head into a city hall legislative chamber. Those who in this good book will fly. All I do is practice, Lord. Decided not to talk out of anger ever again. Met my wife at the same time I met new audience members for our pain. We passed each other cigarettes and watched cops win the city gone uniquely linear. Harlem of the West do a true universe. I'll always remember you in fancy clothes, my wife said. So here I sit, twisting in silk ideation. Rifle made of post-bellum tar, targets made of an honest language. You know, this San Francisco poetry is how God knows that it's me whining. Riding among the lesser respected wolves, lesser observed militarization, Dixie-less prison bookkeeping. I mean, the California Great Coast are coming. Lynch mob gossip and bourgeois debt collection. I mean, it's tempted to change professions mid-poem in the Chicago briefing the white sergeant saying, blank slate for all of us after this black organizer is dead. Standard academics toasting $2 wine at the tank parade. Bay of nothing, Lord. Just nuclear cobblestones, gun line athleticism, and the last of the inherited asthma. Children giving white dogs to play within fear. Facial expressions borrowed from rich people's shoestrings. I can hear hate and teach hate and call tools by people names and name people dead to themselves. No one getting naturalized except federal agents soon. Carving the equator in the throat soon. Sorry to make you relive all of this, Lord. All this pre-dawn monarchy, friends putting up politician posters and snorting the remainder of the page. Mental script shoveling to the walls by their elders. My children sharpening quarters on the city's edge. For these audiences, I project myself into a ghost-like state. For these gangsters, I do the same. Every now and then, take a nervous look east. Sleep becomes Christ. Sleep starts growing a racial identity. Do you ever spiral, Lord? As the gang age betrayed us, be patient with my poems, Lord. There's so much pain and disappointment to crime. I mean, there has to be a fresh traders come with it. Lord, is that my revolver in your hand? You know, better presidents than these of yonder cages have called us holy slaves. Fill the school libraries with cop documentaries. Baby, I don't have money for food. Shit, I don't have a present moment at all. You know, a lot of God can happen in 3 seconds. Not much heaven, though. Here's a man before a fight. A leave me alone type character emerging from the penniless death of a one-way street fiction. This is a fancy way of saying I'm going to make it even if I have to drive backwards. You know, all I have is chord changes and 1,000 backhands. Driving the street like I'm choking a car full of nephews. There hasn't been a sun since November, and there hasn't been a street I can't choke to death. This city better back down. Now you see this gun on the table, and something about staring until it all feels stable. Why wouldn't I protect everyone? On my death sleep late, my son better be quick. My daughter better shoot first because we fall for no one. You know, we fall for nothing. Okay, the first thing you feel is the heat. This lady would trying to tell me about possession. Drink life need is what I'm mostly hearing. Most of the world leaves me alone. To breathe smog like a giant, to go to jail every once in a while when the genocide kicks up in late May, when politicians have too easy a time. I'm gassing backwards out a one-way street in honor of myself and in honor of you. If you understand the nature of the world, how long I've been just like my father? Well, hell of a resemblance says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is a crossroads or a crossroads narrative. But so much crossroads, people get in the habit of turning back. Turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words. A man before a fight should feel the heat. There's nothing to keep in mind. There's nothing to remember. Really, there's nothing to be. It's just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable, then the table lets go fuzzy, and Friday's an unfamiliar face peeking in the window. It's cool to panic for a second. Composure is wasted on your worst enemies. People are marked on that sidewalk, man. You the only thing life-size. Everybody knows this in a wire hanger empire. When the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fall. You better swing one more time. You know that father of yours rose from the grave. He said, just give me 5 more minutes. He said, running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, all alongside this water. And people don't rise from the grave. They not laid down neither. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people around you all look like they about to jump. It might be your time. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls and the earth outside mutes, don't panic. You know, don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls. Instead, unclench your fists and walk away. You know, there might be heaven if you understand the nature of the world. Societies wander together, man, like hopeful drops of a virus. Citizen testaments bent on off of me. A nation of breadwinners to hold me back like it's a Brinks. I wrinkle the concrete sometimes like flesh. My Martin Luther King permanence turned away from a podium into the reeds like God is the dangerous twin. Black August to the mountaintop balcony on the bedroom floor. You know they steal you from the earth itself and suspend you in your broken neck from their fullest euphoria, from the loyalty oath of their gray superstitions, loyalty oath of their agrarian reforms. I return to my mother completely disrespected for peeling the heat off of purgatory that killed poets like me, walked me away from my poems, never to be heard from again. In this foul industrial complex of bloodlines picked over, picked through a sport and spiritual death of your devil at least half made police become a pretty word. I'm reading a lynch mob shoestrings like they were tea leaves, man, teaching you how to write about cities. It's the 25th century in the mirror, people. Tyranny against your chump change. You're a chump to be mocked even with a gun in your car. A cubit of needlework spell tuned for the proletariat, the relapse ministry. Talented people curled up in a fetal position next to a diamond dime. This is another service day in the theatrics of tea house fascism. In a bouquet of surveillance cameras. In the poverty of God. New blue eyes, courses of water, newly potted presidency of one big shiny coin, if you ask an animated capitalism and other non-literal voids. Killing is white freedom. The deification of hyphens. Medicine, bread, and picture shows. Great protesters in L.A. Guests of Art Inc. Drop kicking roses in the graveyard. D.C. make like a stone torn in half. The pen advances, man, despite CIA guideposts, despite non-African past and futures, and a metaphorical but not surreal day in a horn-ridden life, horn player, improvising king. Like a radio prize fight featuring Shango himself, a real hand sweeps the land of racism. May I return to the ground. May I make progress with the gun, our mother Emmanuel. You know, they put on music that evening. A swinging type body language for you to drink with fermented $5 bills for your body language, some applause. My past stomach line is neither a good thing nor a bad thing, like being psychic on the way to a lethal injection. It'll sit you down with Lady Day. Lady Day leading youth who surrendered their souls to Africa too soon. Polity thought floating in the cup of water, she saved me, accessing my stomach, accessing the love of the American lynch. Coat sleeves wooden and avalanche into the wrist, our mother Emmanuel avalanche into the sharp keys. Pain, the deal you make with pain. Now, piano makes sense for them. Laying hands on the world, gradually addressing the bending necks on the streets of the north. Travelers sailing in pain, repeating pain in the north. 10 trigger fingers on that piano if harmony would have me. Putting 100 fights on every direction. Off of the Lady Day, leaning on trees again, recruiting the countryside itself, saying, lay your plan out on this lightning. Make your poems the corner pocket of men. I've greeted the blues itself, man. America may clean my dead body, but will never include me. There goes the poet, killing without killing. Never mind this painting of your language. That'll be a meaningful lynching. A crow's passing. Good and dead by the afternoon.
Wow. Tongo Eisen-Martin, y'all. Poet
I appreciate it.
for the ages, San Francisco Poet Laureate. Thank you all for joining us and witnessing this history. Tongo, thank you for joining me here on Summer of the Word. I'm so proud of you. I've told you this before. For y'all that don't know, Tongo featured a while ago on my audio podcast, and I thought it would be so wonderful to see him face-to-face reading for this mini poetry series here, and phenomenal. You're like, wow, that just went straight to my soul. And everybody here is commenting. Tongo, we appreciate you so much. Please tell me how you're doing and what's going on with you right now.
Well, you know, you know, I'm just coming from the street right now that my friend was killed on, so it's a little heavy, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, just taking it one conversation at a time. You know, actually, my name, so on my birth certificate is actually Tongo Gara.
Okay.
And I was named after Josiah Tongo Gara, who was the general in the Zimbabwe War for Independence. And what the name means itself actually is perseverance, you know. And so, man, I I have no choice, you know. It's either keep keep in the fight or change my name.
That's right.
You know. So I'm, you know, we still here. You know, I'm just, you know, but it's this genocide is a tidal wave, man.
I'm sorry to hear about your friend. I'm very sorry. And my prayers go out to you and to him and his loved ones.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, you just let me know if this is not, you know, you let me know if you just came on for a minute or if we can chop it up for a bit. I'm
No,
rolling with you.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's keep chopping,
Okay.
and hopefully my hopefully hopefully enough of the voices in my head will cooperate. I can
Okay.
give you and say something that won't be a waste of your time, man. I appreciate it. I
Right.
greatly do. And
Right on.
you know, it's in times like these that where the, you know, priorities are, you know, just kind of pronounced, man. So
Hmm. Well, if you're able to see the comments here, people are saying prayers to you, regards from Argentina. They're putting up prayer hands, and people are totally affected by your words. Totally. That poem, I mean, wow. You're a master class. I mean, you're a master class in poetry. Um, Tongo, what's inspiring you right now? What's keeping you going?
uh man, you know, I just got a feeling that we're not supposed to give up. I also came across some really smart teenagers just yesterday. I was just guest teaching something for this library program, and it was, you know, just some young scholars that were not just super sharp, but were also, you know, just super wise. And it was in the context of poetry, and you know, and poetry is very much the domain of wisdom, you know. But the, you know, the kind of souls that they were flexing, you know, kind of just let you know that everything is gonna be all right. That the universe wouldn't send back through, you know, sentient beings like that, man. If the curtain call was coming soon, so just kind of just keeping my kind of ears and eyes and heart open, just to seeing what all the, just seeing all the beautiful things people are still doing, despite or in the face of what's just basically the oxygenation of violence. You know what I mean? Just violence is violence is the material, man. Violence is the four elements right now, in all kind of manifestations, both individual and structural. And so, I just appreciate the warriors of light, man. And just got to have a good conversation too with this brother Marlon Peterson, who got this book, Bird Uncaged. I think it's called Bird Uncaged, like an abolitionist freedom song. This brother did a lot of time starting as a youngster, and when he got out of prison, he became like a big kind of violence interrupter. And he's just an all around brilliant cat. So he finally got the memoir out, and so I got to be in conversation with him and Kiese Layman, who's probably like the best mind of a couple generations, and so having a conversation with them brothers was also uplifting. These type of things. I guess I'm looking to others. It's
And there's
right now.
and there's nothing wrong with that. Where does the wise man go for wisdom? Good point. And
The
so
homies.
Tongo, right. And so Tongo, you have a forthcoming book, Blood on the Fog. Is that out yet, or is that's coming out in the fall?
Yeah, it's it'll be out September 21st.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that will be from City Lights
Hmm.
Books.
Yeah, City Lights.
Awesome. And San Francisco Public Library has joined the chat, and they are placing a link. They're letting you know that they have your book, or at least they're going to have it. Thank
Right
you so
on.
much, SF Public Library. Thank you for joining us.
Right on.
Wow. And so Tongo, do you take a beat, or do you just keep going? You have this book coming out. What else are you working on? You're teaching, you're working with youth. I know you have initiatives going as San Francisco Poet Laureate. So what else is on your plate at this time?
Yeah, I hope that I hope that I'll be able to lend a hand with education, kind of education efforts, both that are already housed, in schools and other institutions, and whatever else kind of like education programs we can put together in the trenches, where people aren't as institution oriented. But really, it's what's on my mind is not on my plate, or is a plate I don't know exists yet. I really feel like we that a real phase of political organization is necessary, and a phase of political organization that we haven't seen in decades and decades. We do have movement leanings, we have uprisings, but we need instruments now to really codify and crystallize a true revolutionary analysis, and to really get out there and start changing the day in day out reality that folks are being brutalized by right now, myself included. So I don't know what that's supposed to look like. I think what history would history has some lessons. Maybe it's time to throw some like ideological conferences, you know, prospects of liberation. What is it supposed to look like? This type of thing. I'd love to lend a hand to that. More political education efforts, you know, or whatever folks got going on to regularly participate in. But I just don't see. I don't see. You know, you know, especially like, you know, it's like this case in point. You know, like I can be in the middle of a individual adventure that's semi wonderful, but it didn't keep 5 bullets out of my friend's body. So what's really happening? What's really being accomplished? You know. And so these more, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, what's the most direct and effective intervention we can really make in this reality. I think it has to come through political organization, you know. And so that's what's on my mind. I mean, all kind of groovy stuff comes to, you know. You can always count me in. You know what I mean? Whatever, I'm down for any bright ideas, you know. But
True indeed.
That's really what's priority to me. So what's priority is something I haven't figured out.
Right. And you know what? We're all grappling with that as well, Tongo. And we certainly don't want you to wear yourself out trying to, you know, be everyone's answer, but we certainly recognize your efforts, and, you know, it's hard won, and you amaze me because you continue with it. And, you know, despite a number of different, you know, setbacks, and, you know, I'm understanding that what you're going through there, you know, we're seeing that everywhere in every region. It's not particular to where you're at, unfortunately. It's just, it's unbelievable. And so, you know, well, would you want to share another poem? We'll kind of chop it up, have some poetry, and then, you know, in between, love to hear your inspirations. Yeah.
I got you. Well, first I should have apologized to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask only. Like a pill bottle whose name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of wrists. I mean, teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism, fitting for real faces. Stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative. Just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood giant on my only jacket, the police state psychic middlemen evangelizing for the creation of an unmasses and unmet your blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence, good guy. Right angle made between a point on a Louisiana plantation and a 5-year-old's rubber ball, 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane to complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide. I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically. About paper tigers and also gold. I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on a piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuban line. Watching the universe's last metronome, some call Black Jacobins. Hey, just wait. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two. Some colorfully, some transactionally, in a cotton gothic society, class betrayal gone glasses. I mean, ironically, my window started fogging over too as I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter, which poem houses souls with socialist breakthroughs. Breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back, then finally trying stillness, like introducing Gabriel Prosser to the loneliest month. I remember childhood. Remember the word childhood being a beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rented this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest, strange food theater, lithium and circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy phones, with opioid tea. Sentient dollar bills yelling to each other, pocket to pocket, cello stands in the precinct for accompanying counter-revolutionaries. My mother raised me with a simple pain. The poet loses his mind, like the room has weather. Or first girlfriend gravity. Difference between me and you is that the madness wants me forever. A pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure. Books behind my back, bail money paved into the streets, playing euphoria, cliche. Bracing for the medicine's recoil, sharing a dirty deli sandwich with my friends, Black Jacobin's underground topography of a grandmother's hand, psychology of the mask now, teeth of the mask again. Now, apparently too much of San Francisco was not there in the first place. And this dream requires more condemned Africans, or put another way, state violence rises down. Or still life is just getting warmed up. Or army life is looking for a new church and ignored all other suggestions. Or folktale writers have not made up their minds as to who is going to be their friends. You know, this is the worst downtown yet. And I've bought a cigarette everywhere. I've taken many a walk to the back of a bus that led on out the back of a storyteller's prison sentence, then on out the back of slave scars, but this is my comeback face. I left my watch on the public bathroom sink and took the toilet with me. Threw it at the first bus I saw, eating single mothers half alive. It flew through the bus line number, then on out the front of the White House. You know, hopefully you find comfort downtown, but if not, we brought you enough cigarette filters to make a decent winter coat. A special species of handshake lets all know who's king and what's the lifespan of uniform cloth. Man, this coffin needs to quit acting like those are birds singing. Rusty nails have no wings, have no voice other than that of a white world dying. There are book pages in the gas pump, catchy, isn't it? The way 3 nooses is the rule, or the way potato sack masks go so well with radio codes, or the way condemned Africans fought their way back to the ocean, only to find waves made in 1920s burnt up piano parts, European backdoor deals, and red flowers for widows who spent all day in the sun mumbling in San Francisco. Red flowers, but what's the color of a doctor visit? There are book titles in the streets, man. Book titles like Hero, You Make a Better Zero, or Hey, Fur Coat Lady, the President is Dead, or Pay Me Back in Children, or They Hung Up Their Bodies in Their Own Museums. Another book titles pulled from a drum solo. Run here, Hero. Lock the hiding place. All the bullets in 10 precincts know where to go. It's no heaven nor any other good idea in the sky, man. Politics means that people did it and people do it. Understand that when in San Francisco and other places that was never really there. I bet this ocean thinks it's an ocean, but it's not. It's just 6th and Mission Street. All know who's king. King of thin things. You know, like America, I'm proud to deserve to die. I'm going to eat my dinner extra slow tonight in this police state candy dispenser you all call a neighborhood. No set of manners goes unpunished. Never mind the murderer's insomnia or the tea kettle preparing everyone for police sirens. From a 2-floor skyline, an abandoned house once talked to me. It said, young man, you are heroic and 10 years old among 20 generations of friends. Your friends will free fall away. They will free fall up. They will free fall the walls. With 5th grade speed to industrial paint behind secondhand fences, young men use quick knife tones. Be bone and brass, be last laugh music. You are always leaving. Always one change of clothes from the door of life and escape. A 2-floor skyline said, you the guy that dies in the middle. The friend more blues than skin. The face of cheap hotels schizophrenics can place with their 90-mile-per-hour right eyes among dry heat killers once children. 3 feet high and roaming and repeating and aiming at cotton mirrors that hang on breathing walls. You were 10 years old, tagging along, yawning at well-lit violence, whistling tool shop songs. You will be useful. You will be high and alone, flying on a nephew dragon from a $20 family in the sky that calls itself just more soil. Around walls that are just walls, except these walls suggest you make wives out of highs and currency. Here the air is polite to sleepy glass and bullion walls. Young man, you will come to admit that sometimes suicide is power. Because some people live stronger as ghosts. And sometimes the afterlife empties. Billions of souls enter objects like playground bullets and abandoned door frames. Even broken glass will prove it has a voice too. There are 24 hours behind your back. I look over your shoulder right now. Can you hear it? The sound of drums punching themselves out. The sound of piano parts learning between assassination attempts. Be bone and brass, be bone enough for 2 souls, be invincible again. Stuff with red-eyed accents, professional fingertips, gifted victims, 6 in the morning beer, the first month of probation, to shout at the wall. See these words that shouldn't be home. Look behind you again. Be invincible again. Be windward. Be a sad machete. Be your son. Be a thief. Steal his back, laugh too wrong, and never look away. The afterlife will empty and walk you home.
Wow. Hmm. I mean, you teach us and you really hit us with some visual truths, historical, and deeply troubling
Mm.
as well. You know, these things that you're like chronicling it as it happens. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think though in a nowhere nowhere with nowhere near the close calls that that other people kind of live and survive daily. But yeah, I'm I'm from the skin of the city.
Yeah. You know, if you could live anywhere else, is there another place you would live?
Man, we got to go back to Africa, man. Let's get out of here. Gone, man. Y'all let me know when y'all ready. I'm gone. I'm going too. I'm coming.
Right on. Wow, that's ironic.
Ain't it?
So, Tongo, you know, in terms of education, you mentioned education, political education. Do you feel like that should really be more so a part of like curriculum for young people's education today? And I mean, we're talking about elementary school, secondary. What needs
But
to, yeah,
it's a little hard, because what kind of works against political education is your institutional experience. So the point of political education is just to get you in tune into what you're actually connected to, right? To show you how you are a part of a people. Um, but it's taking place in an institution that's just promoting an individualist, journey, an individualistic journey. There's a contradiction, you know. So I think, and that's why again, like the need for political organization that's really outside of institutions is crucial. Um, because, regardless of the magical moments you can put together within an institution, the effect that institution is going to have on the mind of all those that move through it, um, is reinforced by this, this three-dimensional blitz. I mean, why do we conform to nonsense? No matter, even though we know better, or people have taught us better, people love us, are praying for us, have educated us, and all of this type of thing, right? Or you could be, you can be working, like, you could have some kind of pro-social job, or whatever, that our efforts get drowned in the total structural experience, right? And so, you know to intervene in that to intervene in that socialization requires us to put together structures that belong completely to our best interest, right? Which is that of stabilization, because we just but both a few ways you slice it, whether you talk about a people or you talk about a movement tendency or whatever, we're destabilized right now. Destabilized, easy to dominate, easy to pick off and destroy, and so we have to, so like the part of the political education is creating the context of it, or creating creating the house for it, and I think that's the crucial step. Don't get me wrong, like, it all counts, I I've been heavily influenced by people, I met along the way, behind all kind of enemy lines. but 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 as far as like what will even give us a chance to have to really have a consciousness that is kinetic, or a consciousness that actually lays hands on the world, that requires that requires a break in the regular schedule structural programming.
Do you think that there is a privilege in being an artist? As you mentioned, everyone being under this construct, right? You have a certain freedom. Do you believe you, yourself, an artist like you, have a certain freedom that others do not? As in, they didn't find their way out, whether it be through an art or through being an entrepreneur or having a home-based business. There are some people that they have a different reality. So what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not sure I'm on the other side of any rainbow.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
That,
That,
okay. That
that,
you're
that,
completely on the outside.
right. But
Okay.
but no, but definitely, definitely farther along. Not necessarily in that, I'm like make a lot of money. I really don't make a lot of money. I don't make much at all. But I make enough that gives me time. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And so it's just to have more time to do what
Mm-hmm.
I need. You know what I mean? Because it's just like,
Yes.
okay, this a poem doesn't take as long to write, as whatever that shift in that factory is. But if there's no that I mean there's there's not even a position for like 20 more of me. You know what I mean? Like, and yet there are probably thousands of me. You know, and
Right.
even more if cats would just make it past a certain age.
Hello.
Like
Hallelujah.
I mean, I'm
Phew.
cool. I'm cool. I'm a groovy cat, man. But really, I'm just somebody who lived past 25.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so much. You know what I mean? There's so much. There's so much of humanity that don't even get a chance to express itself.
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
it's just like there's nothing really that.
Teach.
There's not really nothing really extraordinary. Um, going on. I mean, I think it's just like this is we just dealing with an extraordinarily um, violent socialization and oppression. That really is just like we can't. It's almost like we don't even know what we can do. We don't even know what the human journey is capable of. I mean, we like to, we allow this corporatocracy to keep running things because it's like, oh, for a few reasons, few modes of coercion, but one above them is just like, oh, they have, look, science is advancing and technology and all this type of thing. We probably could be warp speed right now if it wasn't for the current relations of production, social relations of production right now. So I don't know, like I don't mean to spin mean to spin any of these questions, but it's just like everything just always just leads me back to the whole picture. And the
Mm-hmm.
whole picture is just like this is just not conducive to humanity. It's trippy like that. I'm a kind of a departure point in the dialogue. Just my life is a departure point in the dialogue because art is supposed to represent, you know, the the kind of like just the potential of the or even the birthright of the human mind. But we're never going to see, we're not even going to get the art that we're really supposed to have. We're not going to get the advances we're really supposed to have until we have a complete transformation of this society. I mean, I can wholeheartedly testify. You know, I've gone into some prisons where they had writing groups in there that was together, and I'm not even the fifth, sixth, seventh best writer in the room. You know, and
Wow.
this is all over the prison system in the United States. You know, I mean, what one of the one of the books that my little publishing company is putting out is about a kid doing life in Florida right now, doing life not for murder. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah. Only when I met him he was like 27 or 28.
Mm.
He's about 31 now, you know, and he's just he's brilliant. But you will never, you will never you will never get a dose of him at this rate. You know, you'll never get a dose, and it's just like, I mean, it's millions.
So, Tongo, you know,
Forgive my
what?
strange soapbox, actually.
No, it's fine. So, what would you, I mean, there's so many things I want to ask you. So what would you say to our male youth at this time? You made a statement that, I mean, you're so humble. It just gets me. You're so humble. You said, "Hey, I happen to make it past 25." Well, of course, it's more than that because we see your genius. You made it past 25, and you found your purpose, and you fully display your genius to the world. There's like layers to that, right? So, what would you say to our male youth? Let's
No,
talk about after.
I'm telling you, I appreciate the compliments. I could knock on, I could wave two casters outside this car right now to come over here and talk to y'all, and they would say, they would blow y'all minds. I'm telling you, there's nothing extraordinary going on. Well, maybe, but not like that. But what I would say, to the youngster, meditation. That the most, the most important journey is that internal cultivation of learning how to actually give reality space, how to interact with reality in a spacious way, and even just buying yourself 2 seconds.
Mm,
There's a slogan: you only have to be 2 seconds braver than you were yesterday.
wow.
Just this 2 seconds will open up, will open up life for you, open up reality for you in a beautiful a beautiful and invincible way. So I would just, my number one advice to the youngsters is just mind your internal cultivation. That's the true journey. Everything after that, everything after that just it works itself out.
And would you also advise this for the adults as well? Because we look out here and see all this stuff going on with adults, and it's like, wow, we need meditation too. We need to quiet our minds and sometimes get
Definitely.
off social media,
Yeah.
stop, looking at everyone else and comparing and contrasting and comparing your life and or criticizing folks. Like, get on your path, get on your journey. What is your purpose? What do you think about that, Tongo?
I completely agree. Completely agree. And in many respects, that's really all. That's really all my path seems to be. Um, all it, it's just trying to swim, just trying to swim back to sanity, or swim back to the center. Or swim back to that spaciousness as best I can at all times. This is actually like a second or third incarnation for me. And I don't mean that like You know, I don't mean that in the mumbo jumbo way. I mean like, you know what I mean?
You've
Like,
been
you
here
know,
before.
yeah, I don't mean it,
Are you
mumbo jumbo
Tonga?
aside, you know.
Are you Buddha reincarnated?
No,
The Bay Area
not at all.
Buddha.
Absolutely not, you know. Nah, but what I mean is like,
With an
you know,
afro, all of that.
with man, you know, with an afro that needs some work. Um,
You know what? It's beautiful. You have a sense of humor. Thank you for laughing with me. I appreciate it.
it's all good, and I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. And so, Tongo, can we get another poem, and then we will we want to give the good folks your book title, what's coming up for you, where to follow you, where to pick up your next book,
Yeah,
all of that.
I got you. When a drummer is present, they are God. I am not, and I'm a Black Commons. I'm writing my new tattoo out on bus station glass, making tattoos all afternoon, trying to talk myself into seeing the decade through. I must really be the devil's front man. Staring at an empty, busted out imagining fact carries paintings of people. And the man drunk behind the wheel has to choose between a black and white toddler after school in America on a California street that doesn't need a name nor California. No one on the street has a job, and therefore no one is there. I colored my oppressor's gun and dance floor for him in the same day. The joke began. The walk on the bus seats is fine by me as long as I get to the front. The joke concluded. And Tuesday is rotten soup, a downhill entertainment, a commotion in the ashtray, the day the jail quarters get filled, or the day that the planet plays flat. Maybe a capitalist sets stadium seats on fire and calls it economic progress. Communists got plenty of time to finish their cigarette and lie to their boss. A killer lying down in front of a tank. I have a small statue built in my chest and also an anchor upside down in the air. Worried about the walls, I forgot that the ceiling was closing in on me too. That's my take on my alcoholism. I'm hunched over a meal I ate 5 years ago. It's my take on the look on my face. The curse got a little, took another step up the staircase, and for a second I forgot all occupants of the world, beginning with this house. I'm an action hero, one street proportion. You know, rap music is the way to count blessings. The 80s were better than this fiction. I have a piece of fence messed through my skull. I'll be half eaten my entire life, always walking beside myself with a gun to my head and another one pointed at passersby. And it's like half of me, all of you walking in and out of myself, but I'm always happy to see you with a miraculous route you took through my threat. Honest pay, a knife in my arm, honest pay in my chest, a broken lock on a monument. Tell you the truth, I forget what my hands look like, what I did with them, or what kind of third eye, the handcuffs, cut into my wrist. A tour guide through your robbery, he also is. Cigarette saying, look what I did about your silence. Ransom water and box spring gold this decade is only for accent grooming, I guess. Ransom water and box spring gold, the corner store must die. War games, I guess. All these tongues from his junk. The start of mass destruction begins and ends in restaurant bathrooms that some people use and other people clean. You telling me it's a rag in the sky waiting for you. Yes, we've written the scene. We set the stage. We should have fit in. Warehouse jobs for communists, but now more corridor and hallway have walked into our lives. Now the whistling is less playful and the barbed wire overcrowded too. My dear, if it is not a city, it is a prison. If it has a prison, it is a prison, not a city. When the courtyard talks on behalf of military issue, all walks take place outside of the body. Dear life to your left, the medieval painting to your right. None of this really makes an impression. Crowd people living in thin air. You have 5 minutes to learn how to see through this breeze. When the mask goes sideways, barbed wire becomes the floor. Barbed wire becomes the roof. 40 feet to the sky becomes out of bounds. When the mask breaks in half, mind which way the eyes go. You know, they killed the world for the sake of giving everyone the same backstory. We're watching Gary, Indiana fight itself into the sky. Old pennies for win. For that wind film you get before the hood goes up and over your headache. Pennies that stick together, mocking all aspirations. I mean, stuck together pennies was the first newspaper I ever read, along with the storefront dwelling army that always lets us down. Where the Holy Spirit favors the backroom souls in the situation to offer 100 ways to remain a loser. Souls watching the clock, hoping their eyes don't lie to sad people. What was we talking about again? The narrator asked the graveyard, they did 10 minutes flat. Said the graveyard, the funeral only took 10 minutes. And never tell that to anyone again. You just gonna pin the 90s on me? All 30 years of them? Then why should I know the difference between sleep and satire? The pyramid of corner stores fell on our heads, we died right away. That building wants to climb up and jump off another building. These are downtown decisions. Somewhere on this planet, it's August 7th, and we running down the rest thinking one more needs to come with me. What evaporated on Earth so that we could be sent back down? A conductor of minds in a citywide symphony, waving souls to sing. He also is. I'm off to make a church bell out of a bank window. Kitchens meant more to the masses back in the day. Before that, we had no enemy. Somewhere in America, the prison bus is running on time. You're going to lose your job before revolution hits. Somewhere I won't be home for breakfast. Everyone out here now knows my name, and I won't be turned against for at least 4 months. The cop in the picking line is a hard-working rookie. The sign in my hands getting more and more laughs. It says, the picking line got cops in it, man. I can take care of those windows for if you want, but someone else got to go inside your gas tank. It was clear to man the rich people had talked too much this year. And why don't you go ahead and throw down that Marble Park bench everyone's looking at? You get the Romans out of your mind. Maybe a good night's sleep would have changed the last 20 years of my life playing the instruments like punching the wall. What would you have me do? Replace the population? Give brotherhood back to the winter? Stop smoking cigarettes with the barely dead? You know they listen in on the Sabbath. Police called the police on me. There was a white candlestick beneath my detention. I ruined the soup again, thought the judge as he took off his pilgrim robe behind a white people's door and more. I didn't get lucky. I got what was coming to me. He tossed it, man, fight me back, the man said. Of course, to himself. Washing windows with a will to live. Tin can on his left shoulder, enjoying the bright, brand new blight with all party goers, both supernatural and supernaturally down there. What is this elevator? Traveling side to side? Like 1,000 bitter Polaroid pictures that you actually try to eat. All the furniture on this street nailed to the cement. Cheap furniture, but we have commitment. This morning, an essay opens a conversation between enemies. Why? Because you control every grain of processed sugar between here and the poor man's border. Because of the tin can on my left shoulder, I can hear the engines of deindustrialization. Man, you should get in the painting, tell lies more deeply. This month, I'm rooting for the traitor. Pouring cement to my pillow. Here we will build. I'm high again, not talking much. They want you to climb up the organ pipe to our apartment floor. I'm high again, calling everything church. Sing along to a courtyard thing so a horn player's holy pastime. I'm just putting a real jacket on it. Talk about a real 5 years. Keep memories like these in the pocket next to the toll receipt. That man lost a wager with the God of good causes. Stood up for himself a little too late. Maybe too early. I can still see 20 angles of his jaw zigzagging through the cold world of deindustrialization. There's an art to it. I'll tell my closest friends one day. Right on.
Wow. Tongo, did you hear what you just said? You just said in one of your lines, you said barbed wire becomes the floor, barbed wire becomes the roof. OMG. You also said that man lost a wager with the God of good causes. Well, hot dang dog. You are phenomenal.
It.
Good gracious. These people are blowing up in the comments. I don't know if you see all the comments and the hearts.
I can't see it.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to screenshot some of this for you. I wonder, can I do that? Because once this records, we're going to lose some of the comments. I'm going to have to I wonder. Wow. I wish I had a second phone to take a photo. You all, please, I suspect these are some of your followers, but if you're not, please follow Tongo. Please get in his DM and send him your love and your compliments. He just lost a friend, and he needs the love in the community right now because he gives so much to the community. So please send him a message, or when I post this video later, it's going to be on my profile, Nerdacity Podcast. Please leave a comment for Tongo, please, because I'm going to lose these comments, I think. And this is meaningful. This is community, even virtually. This is people giving love and showing appreciation for this art and for your time, Tongo. And Tongo, also, Tongo, do you have a Cash App or a PayPal that I could put up? Do you have?
Nah, that's all right.
You don't? Okay.
There's a nonprofit organization in San Francisco. Okay. They're called Us for Us, US number 4 US, Us for Us, and they really do the serious heavy lifting, in the neighborhoods, downtown, houseless folks, people just, the whole village, they both help and the whole village participates in the helping. So, if you feeling like, if you feel like throwing a couple dollars into the ether, just look them up and I highly encourage y'all to donate to them.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I see people, someone just Viva La Sunshiny, just tag them, us4us.Bay Area. Thank you so much. And thank you for that, Tongo. And so, Tongo, what's next for you? And how can we, Scott Globus just said generosity and for real, way to go, man. Someone else, SLNT Strawberry just said, can we hold space? Jane Spoken Word said, thank you, poet. Lindsay Morris said, sending you love, Tongo. So many beautiful comments. Thank you all so much. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to communicate that to you, Tongo. And so again, what do you have coming up?
Man, I'm just, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if tomorrow comes. You know? I'm taking this thing 5 minutes at a time. But it's, tap in. Like I said, I'm down for all ideas, bright or otherwise.
Wonderful. And Tongo, your book, Blood on the Fog, I'm looking at City Light's website now, Pocket Poet Series number 62. It's available for pre-order, estimated publication date, September 21st, 2021. Definitely, folks, please support Tongo's work, everything he's doing in the Bay Area, his books here. And so, Tongo, where all can we follow you and, get in touch? Also, if anyone wants to communicate with you about doing future readings, virtual events, how can we find you and communicate with you?
You could just hit me here on the Instagram, _ Tongo Gara _ Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, Tongo, this has been quite a blessing just to spend time with you in the virtual space, even hearing your words and some of your journey. Again, I send my condolences and prayers and peace for you. Of course, I'll continue to keep in touch and support what you're doing. I'll be looking out for your book release. And just, you know where to find me as well. And so is there anything else you wanted to share or mention tonight?
No, I appreciate you.
Okay.
I appreciate you in the space that you provided. Much love. Yeah, for
Sure.
real. It's just this been the only the only oxygen in a heavy day. But much love.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And you be well. And thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Tongo, and peace to you,
Right.
brother.
Right on.
Okay.
Peace.